Welcome to highlights of day one of Henley Royal Regatta. This year, 2019, has already been a record-breaking year. 660 crews entered. That's almost 100 more than last year, which in itself was a record. That, though, through the qualifying rounds last Friday, has been chopped down. So this morning, only half of those were left standing to battle it out on the Thames. And the eager crowds that lined the water didn't have to wait long for some top-class racing. In particular, a battle in the men's Cox's Fours Club event, the Y-Fold, when the locals Marlow took on Bristol Rowing Club.
And they're off.
Again, it's the Y-Folds who want to watch their steering. Strong start by Marlow. Marlow are qualifiers. They've already seen Marlow B go out of this event about an hour earlier to Mercantile, so this is important for them to see if they can progress further. They've struggled in the last few years to make much of an impact at the senior level, but it's a strong start from them. Yeah,
they've got out the blocks nice and sharp there. Slight lead over the crew from Bristol as they come through to the top part of the island.
This is definitely quite a close race, and we've got Marlow still putting pressure on Bristol. Bristol do not look comfortable. They're having to work really hard. I wonder if Marlow can find anything else. I wonder if they can feel heartened by the fact that they are still in this race.
And that's the thing, you must stay in contact. You must stay in contact so you can sense that boat beside you. And then you can feed off them, and you can hear their panting and breathing as you start to chase them down.
They're down. Can they do anything to just make that difference up? It's about a length. I'm sure they've just got clear water.
That's it. It does look hard work there. But they are really into the kind of that pain area of the race where the questions start being asked. You know, have you gone off too hard? You know, are you in the right rhythm? Are they going to try and mount an attack now?
This is where you find out how hard you trained in the winter. This is where all those extra miles, all those extra ergos, you know, all of those circuit sessions, this is where we're finding out how much you can use those, dig into them. This is
That's
brilliant coming back from Marlow.
And they're going through the gears now. They're going through the gears. This is coming up to be level.
Classic. Oh, it's tight. They are really absolutely going for it. Can you see the faces, the pain in the Bristol crew? The three-man is throwing in everything. And Marlow have got to go again.
Asking those questions of Bristol now, Marlow are, as they're coming towards the line. Wow, what an incredible finish there. That sprint finish from Marlow has taken them through the crew from the city of Bristol.
First starting in 1839, Henley Royal Regatta is steeped in tradition, and never more so than here in the stewards' enclosure, where the dress code is strict, the champagne is cold, but the views are spectacular. But out there on the racecourse, things can sometimes go a little awry.
It's suggesting to Molesey they might like to get back onto their side of the water.
Oh, no.
More scrappiness. It's Molesey this time who are at fault, at the umpire's flag, trying to get Molesey back onto their side of the water.
Oh no, there's an umbrella in the river.
A parasol, an umbrella in the river. Now what's going to happen here? They just have to row straight through this. The Australians won't have seen anything like that. Oh dear. The umbrella's been swept off the bank onto the water, and that was a challenge that the Australians would not have prepared for. So Scots College Australia leading them home by a couple of lengths on that Berkshire side of the water. Over the finish line they go now, despite having all sorts thrown at them.
Here in the stewards' enclosure, it is specifically set up to be relaxing. You can be in the shade in the grandstand, or here in the deck chairs. You can even take a snooze. There are actually two people having a snooze there. Out on the water though, that's where all the action happens, and the tension can be sky high, particularly if you're a schoolboy. This is the Princess Elizabeth Cup for schoolboy eights. This is Monmouth versus Kent School from the United States.
So a tight race here. Just looking, crew from Monmouth there. Just staying in contact. Crew from Kent School, USA. There's not much between both crews here.
Yeah, and the Americans look a bit bigger physically. Larger men. both of those crews.
But there's something about when you're racing side by side, Nate, the noise, you know, those two crews, the cocks screaming down the microphone, all the athletes, the belief you have to have in each other.
It's definitely not over, but will the coxswain in the Kent school start to urge his crew on? And he's got a couple of options. He could take the rate up, so doing more strokes a minute can make the boat go faster, or he could call for more power at the same stroke rate.
But I think Monmouth scoring such a good rhythm, that's going to be really hard for the Kent school to come back on that.
Rhythm is something that the Americans call swing, and it is wonderful when you've got it, and if you lose it, it's very hard to get it back, and Mark's called it absolutely right. You can see how the crew look like they're moving more fluidly.
And this is going to be a bit of a shock, I think. People didn't expect this result. There's a great race there from Monmouth, being in their boat, sticking to their race plan, and they cross the line first ahead of the Kent school there in the heat of the Princess Elizabeth Challenge Cup.
Following the lunch break, the crowd numbers, the temperature and the racing intensity all went up. And this race comes from the Fawley Challenge Cup. It's Scotch College from Melbourne, Australia versus the locals. Sir William Borlase from Marlow.
Attention! Go!
And they've got off to a really nice, easy start. Scotch College, the Melbourne-based crew, big lads, aren't they? Really powerful, powering off. That might be a little bit of an advantage they've got early on there, Becca.
Yeah, they're really big lads, and I know that the whole squad has been over in the Netherlands for 3 weeks training on the Bosbaan. They've got an 8 here as well as their quad.
Well, you can see they've nearly got clear water, but not quite. This is a pretty key point in the race, Rebecca.
It is, and I fear that it's possible Sir William Borlase just lost themselves a major amount of distance then. They did a big steer about half a minute ago, away from the booms, right to the middle of the course, and then they corrected back again. Now, every time you steer a rowing boat, it slows it down.
They look quite comfortable, don't they?
They do. Both of them about 33, 34 strokes a minute.
I think Borlase are coming. I'm looking down the course. They're still just under a length's lead. But that Scotch College crew are so strong. They're coached by such an intelligent, such an experienced rower in the shape of Peter Anthony, the 1992 Olympic champion in men's double sculls. It's hard to see Borlase coming, but they are sprinting, Rebecca.
They are sprinting, and they're getting a very close back to about 2/3 of a length on Scotch College. They're definitely not giving up, coming up to the progress board.
So we've got the last few strokes of this race. It's Scotch College in the lead. You can see the crew on the left. Borlase are sprinting for all their worth. Is there enough in there to get there? Scotch College, I think, are just about going to hold on. We come up to the finish. It's very, very close, that margin. Scotch College did hold on. Borlase came back tremendously well. It was a fantastic race. Verdict under a length.
A good win there then for the Australians, one of 17 nations competing here at Henley Royal Regatta this week. Let's include some Americans. This is University of Pennsylvania versus Exeter in the Coxed Fours for students, the Prince Albert.
And there you can see University of Pennsylvania right out. I mean, they're coming off the end of the island, Rebecca, and they've got nearly a length from their rivals from Exeter.
Yeah, I was talking to the Exeter coach earlier, Richard Tinkler, and he tells me this is a young crew. A couple of them only started rowing back in October, so they're very early in their rowing careers.
Pennsylvania just cleared out from Exeter on the start, and I really thought they were going to dominate this race, Rebecca. And I think I was pretty wrong on that, because Exeter have really stuck to their guns, and they've even got a decent overlap. You can see the bows of the Exeter boat on the right of on the bottom of your shot now as the drone flies over them. And they're just edging up the, well, they're probably level with stroke or 3 in the Pennsylvania crew. Exeter, I think, coming back into it, Rebecca, as we talk. Exeter, the crew in green on the right of your screen. University of Pennsylvania, I was writing Exeter off, but they've had a fantastic burst just coming into the last 400 metres or so of this race. There's plenty of water left as I look out from our commentary position. Crew of Exeter have taken the lead. What a fantastic move that was, Rebecca.
Yeah, quick glance over his shoulder by Nicholas Hutchins, the three-seat in the University of Pennsylvania crew. He can see that he is now behind the equivalent three-man in the Exeter crew. Exeter are definitely getting the bit between their teeth. I can see the coxswain calling them up, and the crowd are loving it. He's getting really good response, cheering on the Exeter crew. The Pennsylvania crew seem to have lost their mojo a little bit. The boat's rocking around. Despite the coxswain making some really strong calls, they're really not closing the gap, but Exeter taking it up as they come down the enclosures.
So the 21-year-old coxswain Sophie Figueiredo is urging her crew on as they come up to the finish line. It's a first Henley. It's going to be a win, first Henley race. A race you'll never forget, rowing through the University of Pennsylvania, who led this race for a substantial part of the distance. Exeter come up and take the victory in this heat of the Prince Albert Challenge Cup. A great result, very, very mature rowing from the Exeter University students. Pennsylvania crossed the line, dejected, the heads go down.
A close race, but not the closest of the day. That came in this trophy here, the Y-fold. It was London Rowing Club versus Wanganui, all the way from New Zealand. If you come all that distance, you've got to give your best. And boy, didn't they just do that. Look at the margin in this race.
It's going to be a gut-busting race. It's going to be epic. Crew from the Putney Embankment London Rowing Club with the white and blue blades in the yellow boat on the left of your picture, and Aramoho Wanganui on the right of your picture have come all the way from New Zealand, Rebecca.
They've settled into a really good, steady pace. London keeping their catches really clean, but the Wanganui crew are not giving up. They're close behind. Both crews racing around 34 strokes a minute.
Aramoho Wanganui coming back through. That was a move that they made just coming past Remnant Club. There's around about 600 metres to go in this race, and Aramoho Wanganui have just put their bows in front, the New Zealanders. This is so close. Who's going to win this race, Rebecca?
I'm not going to put any money on it now, but I know for sure that the London crew will know the course better, but the Wanganui crew are definitely not going to let them have it easy. Both of the crews well apart on the middle of the race. Wanganui rating about a point higher than London, but each of them definitely beginning to feel the strain now.
It's a nice run to have down the booms. I like Catinelli, the stroke of the London crew. The Italian has really just run his boat right the way down the booms. He's never deviated from that line. And you've got the Aramoho Wanganui crew out on the left. Sarah Winkless just steering the Aramoho Wanganui crew over. That's a little bit of drag on the rudder. That will cost them a little bit.
Yeah, that might give London just the edge. If London sees them steering and I was giving the calls, I'd be calling for a sprint now.
One of the best races of the day coming up to the last 250 metres. London Rowing Club, the Putney-based crew on the top of your picture in blue. Look across from the bowman, Reader there, Matt Reader. What's the verdict going to be? Aramoho Wanganui from New Zealand. We've got about 15 strokes to go to the finish line. The finish line camera looking at London Rowing Club sprinting for all they're worth. Aramoho Wanganui trying to hang on. Can't split them here. Aramoho Wanganui just throwing in a big burst. We're coming up to the finish line. London Rowing Club, Aramoho Wanganui. Who's going to take this verdict? It's going to be so close. Oh! That is so close. I can't tell because the camera's not quite on the finish line. I would say London Rowing Club might have just got that. They don't know who's won. London Rowing Club don't know who's won. So we're going to see if we can split them. We said it was going to be a real gut buster. It lived up to everything. There is a finish line replay. Where's the bows of Aramoho Wanganui? London Rowing Club look to be in pole position. Just coming up, there's Aramoho Wanganui. Who's going to split them? Oh! We are going to have to leave that to the judges. I'd say that was possibly Aramoho. The judges have decided it's a win for the men from London Rowing Club.
I'm willing to bet everybody watching that we will not get a closer result at Henley Royal Regatta than that. Everybody says nothing at the regatta changes. Well, welcome aboard the change for 2019. This is the new lead umpire's launch, Artemisia. She's named after a Greek queen and general. She, like all of us, will be on duty tomorrow for Thursday at Henley Royal Regatta. We'll see you then.
They got you feeling all fired up. You gotta feel the pressure. They got you feeling all fired up. We just wanna make it better.